Listen to me carefully, because this is about to change your life. There comes a moment when you look in the mirror and realize that the person staring back at you is not the person you were created to be. There's greatness inside of you, but life has buried it under fear, doubt, and the expectations of others. If you want to step into the life you were destined for, you must first be willing to disappear. Not physically vanish, but disappear from the version of yourself that has kept you small, disappear from environments that keep you average, disappear from conversations that drain your energy. This is the first step to transformation, disappearing from everything that keeps you from becoming extraordinary. Disappearance is a strategic step because it allows you to separate yourself from distractions that have kept you stagnant and unproductive, giving you the space to reset, refocus, and rediscover who you truly are. It is not about running away or hiding from responsibility, but about intentionally stepping back from everything that clouds your vision so you can create a clearer path toward your purpose. In a world that is constantly demanding your attention, learning to disappear is an act of power because it gives you permission to take control of your environment rather than being controlled by it. Most people fear solitude because they confuse it with loneliness. But in reality, solitude is the ground where transformation grows. When you intentionally choose to disappear, you are choosing growth over comfort, elevation over validation, and purpose over approval. When you disappear strategically, you take yourself out of the noise that keeps your mind cluttered. There is a constant stream of opinions, expectations, and pressures from society, family, friends, and even yourself that fight for your attention every day. This noise is what prevents clarity because it keeps you reacting instead of creating, surviving instead of thriving. Disappearing is a way of silencing all of that so you can finally hear your own voice, the inner guidance that has been drowned out by external chaos. Greatness cannot be built in confusion. It requires intention and focus, which are only developed when you have the courage to step away. The decision to disappear is often misunderstood by those around you because people expect consistency and your growth disrupts their sense of familiarity. When you step away from environments that no longer serve you, it can feel like you're letting others down or breaking ties, but in truth, you are creating space for your best self to emerge. If you stay stuck in spaces that limit your growth, you will eventually shrink to fit their expectations, and that will suffocate your potential. Disappearance is an act of self-preservation, not selfishness, because it allows you to protect your energy, invest in yourself, and build a foundation for a future that will benefit not only you, but also those who are connected to your purpose. Strategic disappearance is also about removing yourself from the cycle of constant comparison that drains confidence and kills ambition. Social media, competition, and external validation often keep you trapped in a loop of measuring your worth against others, which is one of the greatest obstacles to personal transformation. By disappearing, you are not only withdrawing from physical spaces, but also from mental patterns that have been programmed into you over time. You are breaking the cycle of needing approval and choosing instead to create a strong inner identity that doesn't rely on applause. This level of mental strength is only developed when you are brave enough to disconnect and build yourself in silence. There is a reason why the greatest transformations in history often happen in obscurity. Seeds do not grow in the sunlight first. They grow underground where no one can see them. This is the power of strategic disappearance. It gives you a safe space to grow roots before you bloom. Without disappearing, you risk exposing yourself too early and being crushed by the weight of expectations before you are ready. By choosing to disappear, you create a sacred space where your dreams, goals, and skills can mature away from criticism and negativity. The world may not understand why you step back, but the results of your transformation will speak louder than any explanation ever could. Strategic disappearance also helps you rediscover your identity outside of the roles you play and the labels people place on you. So often, we are defined by what others see in us, and that can trap us in versions of ourselves that no longer serve us. When you disappear, you break free from those expectations and reconnect with your true self. You find out who you are when no one is watching, when there is no pressure to perform, and when there are no masks to hide behind. This is where true power is born, because you are finally able to build from a place of authenticity rather than approval. In a society obsessed with being visible, disappearing is one of the most countercultural but powerful moves you can make. Everyone wants to be seen, heard, and recognized, but few are willing to put in the private work required to sustain success when it comes. Disappearing gives you the discipline to do the things no one else is willing to do, to master your craft in secret, and to strengthen your mind without the pressure of public opinion. Those who understand this principle are the ones who rise to levels that others only dream about, because their success is built on a foundation of preparation, not luck. Disappearance creates space for clarity, and clarity creates confidence. When you are surrounded by constant stimulation, it is easy to mistake movement for progress, but disappearing helps you separate the urgent from the important. You begin to see your life with sharper focus, identifying the areas that need change and the opportunities that have been overlooked. This kind of insight is impossible to achieve when you are constantly surrounded by noise and distractions. Disappearing gives you the mental breathing room to evaluate your life honestly, identify your strengths, and create a roadmap for your future without interference. This step also develops emotional strength because it forces you to be comfortable with yourself. Many people cannot sit alone with their thoughts because they fear what they might discover about themselves. Strategic disappearance is an invitation to face your fears, confront your doubts, and heal your insecurities. It is a process that will stretch you, challenge you, and sometimes even break you, but it will also rebuild you into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient version of yourself. Every great leader, creator, and visionary has had to disappear at some point to refine their character and build their courage. Disappearing is not a passive act. It is an intentional strategy that requires discipline, courage, and vision. It is about choosing long-term growth over short-term gratification, choosing silence over noise, and choosing preparation over performance. It is not easy to disappear in a world that celebrates visibility, but the ability to step away is one of the most powerful tools you can use to transform your life from the inside out. Transformation happens in isolation because isolation strips away all the distractions that have been shaping your life unconsciously and forces you to confront the truth about who you are and who you want to become. When you are surrounded by constant noise, you begin to adopt beliefs, habits, and opinions that are not truly yours. But in isolation, all of that is removed. You are left with nothing but yourself, your thoughts, your faith, and your vision. This is where real growth begins, because it is in solitude that you can finally hear your own voice clearly and align yourself with the path you are meant to walk. Transformation cannot fully take place while you are constantly performing for others or seeking validation. It requires a deep internal shift that only happens when no one else is around to influence you. Isolation provides an environment for deep reflection, and reflection is what unlocks change. Most people avoid solitude because it feels uncomfortable, but that discomfort is what forces growth. When you are left alone with your thoughts, you are confronted with the truth about your fears, insecurities, and patterns that have been holding you back. This confrontation is painful, but it is necessary because transformation requires awareness. And awareness is impossible without stillness. In the quiet, you are able to analyze your choices, reevaluate your values, and gain a new perspective on the direction of your life. Without this kind of self-examination, change remains surface level and temporary. It is in isolation that you gain the clarity to separate your identity from the expectations of others. So much of who we are is shaped by the roles we play in relationships, workplaces, and social environments. When you step away from those dynamics, you start to see yourself for who you really are, apart from titles and labels. This clarity is vital because true transformation cannot happen if you are still living for the approval of others. In isolation, you begin to form your own standards, create your own vision, and develop the inner strength to walk your own path confidently. Isolation is also where discipline is developed. When there is no one watching, no one praising, and no one holding you accountable, you are forced to rely on self-motivation. This is a powerful skill because success and transformation are not built on external validation. They are built on internal commitment. In solitude, you learn how to show up for yourself consistently, even when no one notices your progress. This kind of quiet work builds character and resilience, and those qualities are what separate people who only dream of change from those who actually achieve it. The process of transformation is often misunderstood because people only see the results, not the isolation that made them possible. A butterfly is admired for its beauty, but no one celebrates the cocoon where it underwent the painful and unseen process of becoming something new. That cocoon is a picture of what isolation does for you. It hides you from the world while reshaping you completely. The isolation stage is not glamorous. It feels lonely and even suffocating at times, but it is essential because it gives you time to shed your old identity and build a stronger, wiser, and more capable version of yourself. Isolation allows you to focus deeply on your growth without external distractions. When you are constantly surrounded by people, conversations, and digital noise, your energy is scattered. You cannot focus long enough to develop mastery or create something extraordinary. But in isolation, your attention is directed inward, and you are able to dedicate time to reading, learning, practicing, and building skills that will set you apart. The concentration and focus that come from solitude are what lead to exponential growth because they give you the ability to invest in yourself fully without interruptions. Being alone also strengthens your relationship with your faith and inner guidance. When you are isolated, you are forced to depend less on others and more on your spiritual and mental connection to purpose. Many people miss their calling because they are too busy listening to the voices around them. But in silence, you become more sensitive to the voice of intuition and divine direction. This is where breakthroughs often happen because you finally quiet the noise of the world long enough to hear the wisdom that has been inside you all along. Another key aspect of transformation in isolation is emotional healing. Many people avoid solitude because it brings up unresolved pain. But true transformation cannot happen if you refuse to face your wounds. In isolation, you have the opportunity to process hurt, forgive yourself and others, and rebuild your emotional strength. This healing process equips you to move forward without carrying the baggage of your past, which is why isolation is not just about being physically alone, but about giving yourself space to release what has been holding you back. Isolation also prepares you for the weight of success and responsibility. Growth requires a stronger foundation, and isolation is the training ground where that foundation is built. In solitude, you learn patience, perseverance, and emotional stability, all of which are necessary to handle the challenges that come with higher levels of success. If you skip this stage, your transformation will be fragile because it was not built in the quiet seasons where character is tested and refined. Isolation is not punishment, it is preparation for the life you are meant to live. Ultimately, transformation is not an overnight event, but a process that requires intentional effort. And isolation is the environment where that process unfolds. It is in those quiet, unseen moments of dedication, discipline, and faith that your identity begins to shift, your skills are sharpened, and your vision becomes clearer than ever before. The world will only see the results of your transformation, but it is in the hidden places where the real work is done, where your mind is renewed, your spirit is strengthened, and your destiny is forged in silence. Pruning is essential because growth is not only about adding more to your life, but also about removing what no longer serves your purpose. Just like a gardener trims branches from a tree to allow it to flourish, you must be willing to cut away distractions, toxic relationships, and limiting habits that are draining your energy and stunting your progress. The pruning process is often uncomfortable because it requires honesty about the areas of your life that are holding you back. But without it, your growth will remain shallow and inconsistent. Many people fail to reach their full potential because they try everything and everyone with them into their next level, not realizing that pruning is what makes room for greater things to grow. The act of pruning forces you to face the reality that some things, no matter how familiar or comfortable, cannot go with you into your future. There are friendships, environments, and patterns of behavior that may have served a purpose in your past, but are now preventing you from elevating to the next stage of your life. This is not an act of cruelty, but an act of wisdom, because every season of growth requires a new level of focus and commitment. If a tree refuses to let go of its dead branches, those branches will drain nutrients that could be nourishing healthy growth. In the same way, your energy and attention are finite, and you cannot afford to waste them on things that keep you stuck in old cycles. Pruning is also essential because it sharpens your discernment. When you intentionally examine your life to determine what needs to be cut, you develop a greater sense of clarity about what is truly valuable. This process allows you to see which relationships genuinely support your growth and which ones only benefit from your presence while offering nothing in return. It reveals which habits build your character and which ones sabotage your progress. Without this kind of intentional evaluation, it's easy to get trapped in mediocrity because you are too emotionally attached to what you should have released long ago. Pruning trains you to make tough but necessary decisions that strengthen your ability to lead yourself and others. Another reason pruning is vital is that it creates space for new opportunities. Many people pray for growth, success, and breakthrough, but they are unwilling to release what is occupying the space where those blessings need to go. You cannot hold on to old mindsets and expect a new life. You cannot cling to toxic relationships and expect peace. Growth demands space. And pruning is the process of clearing away the old so that you can receive the new. The discomfort of cutting away what is familiar is temporary, but the reward of creating room for something better is lasting and transformative. Pruning is not only external, but also internal. It's not just about changing your environment or letting go of negative influences. It's about cutting away thoughts, fears, and beliefs that limit you. The hardest pruning is not removing toxic people from your life, but removing toxic patterns from your own mind. This requires self-awareness and a willingness to challenge everything you've been taught about yourself, your worth, and your potential. Growth cannot happen if you continue to carry old mental programming that keeps you small. The pruning process is what rewires your thinking so that you can see yourself accurately and operate from a place of confidence and vision rather than fear and doubt. This process is often painful because it requires you to detach from comfort. Human beings are wired to seek familiarity, even if that familiarity is harmful. We cling to routines, relationships, and beliefs because they feel safe, even if they're destructive. Pruning disrupts that comfort and forces you to grow beyond your limitations. It's not easy to walk away from things you've invested time and energy into, but pruning teaches you that not everything you invest in is meant to last forever. Some things were only meant for a season, and once that season has ended, holding on to them will only slow you down. Pruning also builds resilience. When you learn to let go of what no longer serves you, you become stronger emotionally and mentally because you no longer rely on external things to define your worth. You start to realize that your value does not come from relationships, possessions, or positions, but from who you are at your core. This realization gives you the courage to release even more, knowing that your growth is not tied to anything or anyone else. Resilience is built through the discipline of pruning because it teaches you that temporary loss is a necessary step toward long-term gain. The act of pruning aligns you with your true purpose. When you strip away distractions and noise, you are able to hear your inner voice and connect with your vision on a deeper level. Pruning is not just about removing negativity. It's about aligning your life with what matters most. It helps you redirect your time and energy toward meaningful pursuits rather than wasting it on things that have no eternal value. The more you prune, the more focused you become, and that focus is what separates people who live with intention from those who drift aimlessly through life. Pruning is essential for sustaining success, not just achieving it. Many people reach a level of success and then lose it because they refuse to continue pruning. Growth is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process, and every new level of success will require you to release even more. This is why some people plateau. They get comfortable with what they've achieved and stop pruning, which eventually stunts their growth. To keep growing, you must be willing to constantly evaluate your life and let go of anything that no longer aligns with your vision. Pruning is not something you do once. It's a lifestyle of continual refinement. When you commit to pruning, you are committing to excellence. Excellence is not about perfection, but about constant improvement. And you cannot improve if you refuse to cut away what is unnecessary. The willingness to prune shows that you value your future more than your comfort, your calling more than your convenience. It demonstrates that you understand growth is intentional, not accidental. Every branch you cut, every habit you break, every toxic influence you release is proof that you are serious about your destiny. The pruning process may feel like loss in the moment, but it is actually the doorway to abundance, strength, and the highest version of yourself. Silence builds strength because it removes the constant noise that keeps you distracted and allows you to reconnect with yourself on a deeper level. In a world where every second is filled with notifications, conversations, and endless demands for attention, silence has become rare, but it is in silence where your inner power is forged. When you embrace silence, you give yourself permission to step back from external chaos and tune into your own thoughts, feelings, and desires. This act of withdrawal is not weakness, but a demonstration of self-control, because it shows that you are no longer controlled by the noise around you. It is in silence that you begin to cultivate peace, focus, and emotional resilience, all of which are essential for building a strong and purposeful life. Silence forces you to listen to the thoughts you often try to ignore. Many people avoid silence because it exposes what's going on inside of them, revealing fears, doubts, and insecurities they would rather escape. But it is only by facing these thoughts that you can truly overcome them. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back the areas of your life that need healing and growth. This level of self-awareness is a powerful tool because you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. The discipline of sitting in silence teaches you to confront your inner struggles and transform them into strength, rather than allowing them to control you. Spending time in silence also sharpens your ability to make wise decisions. When your mind is constantly overstimulated, your judgment becomes clouded, and you begin to react impulsively rather than responding intentionally. Silence gives you the space to slow down, think clearly, and process situations from a position of strength rather than stress. Great leaders, creators, and innovators often spend extended time in silence because it allows them to see solutions others miss. The ability to pause, reflect, and gain clarity is a sign of strength, and it is built in the moments when you choose quiet over constant activity. Silence is also a form of rest for your mind and spirit, which allows you to rebuild your energy and mental strength, just as your body needs sleep to recover and repair itself. Your mind needs silence to reset and recharge. When you constantly fill your life with noise, you never give yourself the chance to fully recover from stress or pressure, and over time, that drains your strength. Embracing silence creates a space for renewal where you can release anxiety, regain focus, and reconnect with a sense of calm that strengthens you from the inside out. This kind of internal stability cannot be developed in chaos. It requires intentional quiet. Choosing silence is also a sign of emotional maturity because it shows that you don't need to constantly prove yourself or seek validation from others. In silence, you learn to become comfortable with yourself, and that confidence radiates outward. Many people speak or act out of insecurity, but someone who has mastered silence has learned to control their impulses and emotions. This level of self-mastery is powerful because it allows you to remain steady even when others around you are unstable. It is through silence that you develop the strength to listen more, understand more, and respond with wisdom rather than reacting out of emotion. Silence helps you grow spiritually because it is in the still moments that you are most open to divine wisdom and guidance. When you quiet your mind and create space for reflection, you begin to see things more clearly and hear insights you would have missed in the noise. Spiritual growth often happens in solitude, and silence becomes a sacred space where your faith is strengthened and your purpose is revealed. This deep sense of connection cannot be developed in a constant rush. It is only built when you choose to step back, be still, and allow yourself to hear the quiet truths that lead to transformation. Practicing silence also strengthens your relationships because it teaches you the value of listening. Many people only listen to respond, not to understand, but silence trains you to be present and attentive. When you can control the urge to speak and instead create space for others to share, you develop deeper empathy and stronger connections. This skill is invaluable not only in personal relationships, but also in leadership and business, because it allows you to understand people on a deeper level. Silence makes you a better communicator, not because of what you say, but because of the wisdom you gain from what you hear. Another way silence builds strength is by increasing your focus and productivity. In a world full of distractions, your ability to focus has become one of your greatest strengths. When you practice silence, you train your brain to operate without constant stimulation, which enhances your ability to concentrate deeply on important tasks. This kind of focused work is what separates high achievers from those who are constantly busy but rarely productive. Silence becomes a tool for achieving excellence because it allows you to give your full attention to your goals and eliminate the mental clutter that slows you down. Silence also teaches patience, which is a key component of strength. When you spend time in stillness, you learn to slow down, wait, and trust the process rather than rushing through life. This discipline allows you to make better choices, handle challenges with grace, and avoid unnecessary mistakes. Patience is a sign of inner strength because it shows that you are not ruled by urgency or pressure, but by confidence and vision. The more time you spend in silence, the more patient and composed you become, which gives you an advantage in every area of life. Finally, silence is a form of power because it teaches you restraint. There is strength in knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet, and silence often communicates more than words ever could. People who have learned the art of silence carry a sense of authority because they are not easily shaken or manipulated. This power is not loud or boastful. It is calm and commanding, rooted in self-awareness and discipline. Silence allows you to control your emotions, maintain your peace, and move with intentionality, all of which are marks of true strength that cannot be faked or forced, but only developed in the quiet moments where you choose stillness over noise. Hidden seasons are growth seasons because they are the periods of life when transformation is taking place beneath the surface, even if there are no visible results yet. These seasons often feel frustrating because it seems like nothing is happening, but in reality, they are some of the most important times of development. Just like a seed planted in the ground is hidden under dirt, your hidden season is when your roots are being established, your character is being built, and your strength is being tested. Most people crave recognition and immediate results, but true growth requires a time of preparation, and preparation almost always happens in obscurity. The hidden season is where you are equipped for the opportunities that will come later. And without it, success would be temporary because it would lack the foundation needed to sustain it. Being hidden protects you from premature exposure. When a seed is planted, no one expects it to bloom overnight because growth takes time, and rushing the process would only destroy its potential. In the same way, being hidden shields you from the pressure and scrutiny that come with visibility, giving you time to mature emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. If you were exposed too soon, the weight of responsibility could crush you because you would not yet have the strength to carry it. Hidden seasons are not meant to punish you. They are designed to prepare you, ensuring that when you finally emerge, you are ready to handle everything that comes with the next level of your life. These seasons are also where discipline is forged. When you are hidden, you do not have the applause of others to motivate you, and that forces you to build consistency from within. It is easy to be disciplined when people are watching, but real growth happens when no one sees your effort. yet you remain committed to the process. This is where you develop habits that will sustain you long after the hidden season is over. The strength you gain in these quiet times is what allows you to thrive in seasons of visibility, because your confidence is not built on attention, but on preparation. Hidden seasons are necessary because they strip away distractions and force you to focus on what truly matters. When you are out of the spotlight, you have the freedom to experiment, learn, and grow without the fear of judgment. This is where creativity flourishes, because you are not performing for an audience. You are building in private. Many of the world's greatest accomplishments were developed in seasons of obscurity where no one was watching. The ability to stay focused and committed while being unseen is a sign of maturity, because it proves that your motivation is rooted in purpose, not recognition. Growth in hidden seasons is often internal before it becomes external. These are the times when your mindset shifts, your character is refined, and your vision becomes clearer. You may not see immediate progress in your circumstances, but transformation is happening within you, and that internal growth is what will eventually produce external results. This process can be uncomfortable because it forces you to face parts of yourself that need healing or correction, but without this inner work, your outer success would be empty and unstable. The hidden season is where you are shaped into the person capable of stewarding the opportunities you are preparing for. These seasons also test your patience and faith. It can be discouraging to feel unseen, especially when you are working hard and making sacrifices without recognition. But this is where you learn to trust the process. Growth requires patience, because great things take time to build. When you learn to be content in your hidden season, you develop a level of faith and perseverance that will carry you through every future challenge. The waiting period is not wasted time. It is training ground for your next level, and it builds endurance that will sustain you when life gets difficult. Being hidden also strengthens your identity, because it removes the temptation to find your worth in external validation. When no one is applauding, you are forced to build confidence in who you are rather than in what others think of you. This is a crucial part of growth, because your ability to remain grounded in seasons of success depends on the security you developed in seasons of obscurity. Hidden seasons teach you that your value is not tied to visibility, and this mindset will protect you from pride and insecurity when your time to shine comes. Another powerful aspect of hidden seasons is that they create resilience. When you are unseen, it can feel like your work and effort do not matter, but pushing through those feelings strengthens your character. This resilience is what allows you to handle rejection, setbacks, and criticism later in life, because you have already learned how to keep going without validation. The hidden season is like a training ground, building mental and emotional toughness that becomes one of your greatest assets when opportunities arise. Without this period of preparation, many people crumble under pressure because they were never tested in obscurity. Hidden seasons are also where your vision is refined. Without the noise and distractions of external pressure, you are able to hear your inner voice and gain a clearer sense of direction. This is the time to plan, strategize, and lay the groundwork for your future. It is often in these quiet times that the greatest ideas are born, because you are not rushing to meet expectations, but are instead allowing yourself to dream freely. When you finally step into visibility, your success will not be accidental, but intentional, because it was carefully developed during your hidden season. Lastly, hidden seasons remind you of the importance of timing. Just because you are ready for change does not mean you are ready for everything that comes with it. Growth is a process, and timing is everything. Being hidden gives you the time to fully develop so that when opportunities come, you are not only prepared to seize them, but also equipped to sustain them. Every delay in your life during this season is working in your favor, aligning circumstances, building your character, and ensuring that when the right moment arrives, you will step into it with confidence, wisdom, and strength. Act now and commit fully, because waiting for the perfect moment is one of the biggest illusions that keeps people stuck where they are. There will never be a time when all conditions are ideal, when fear completely disappears, or when every detail is perfectly aligned before you take action. Those who succeed are not the ones who wait for opportunities. They are the ones who create them by moving forward despite uncertainty. Acting now is a declaration that you will not allow hesitation to steal your future. It is a commitment to yourself that you will no longer settle for a life of someday thinking, but instead step into the reality that every breakthrough begins with a single decision to move forward today. Committing fully means refusing to keep a backup plan for failure. Many people claim they want success, but their actions reveal that they are only halfway invested. They set goals but do not follow through. They dream big but prepare small. When you commit fully, you burn the bridges that lead back to comfort and force yourself to move forward. This level of commitment is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who live with regret, because half-hearted effort produces half-hearted results. The people who rise above average are not always the most talented, but they are always the most committed. Action creates momentum, and momentum is what carries you through moments of doubt and resistance. Too many people wait until they feel confident before taking action, but confidence is not built by waiting, it is built by doing. The moment you take your first step, you begin to prove to yourself that progress is possible. And this belief fuels the courage to take the next step. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to act, because fear grows stronger in the absence of movement. Acting now interrupts fear and shifts your focus from what could go wrong to what could go right. Commitment is not a feeling. It is a choice you make daily regardless of how you feel. There will be days when motivation is low, when circumstances are difficult, and when the vision seems far away, but commitment is what keeps you moving forward even then. The power of commitment is that it trains your mind to stay focused on the bigger picture rather than being distracted by temporary emotions. People who achieve extraordinary things are not driven by fleeting bursts of inspiration, but by a relentless commitment to their goals, no matter how long it takes to reach them. When you act now, you create opportunities that would never exist if you waited. Opportunities are often disguised as challenges or risks, and they only become visible once you step into action. Many doors will never open until you approach them, and many resources will never appear until you start moving toward your vision. People often think they need more money, more connections, or more time to begin, but in reality, they need more courage to take the first step. Acting now is the key that unlocks resources, relationships, and experiences that will never come to those who wait for the perfect conditions. Committing fully means eliminating excuses. Excuses are comforting because they allow you to justify an action, but they also guarantee that you remain stuck. The truth is, you will always be able to find reasons why you cannot start, but success is only available to those who choose to move forward in spite of their limitations. The people who build extraordinary lives are not the ones with the fewest obstacles, but the ones with the strongest commitment to overcome them. Every excuse you let go of makes more room for creativity, resilience, and solutions that push you closer to your goals. Acting now also creates clarity. Many people stay paralyzed because they want a perfect plan before they begin. But clarity does not come before action. It comes through action. When you start, you learn what works and what doesn't. You adjust your strategy as you go, and you develop wisdom that no amount of planning can give you. Waiting for certainty is one of the fastest ways to kill momentum, while acting in faith allows you to grow into the person capable of achieving your vision. Each step you take opens your eyes to the next one, and that is how true progress is made. Commitment requires sacrifice because you cannot give yourself fully to your future while clinging to your past. You will have to let go of comfort, distractions, and even relationships that keep you from becoming your best self. Many people never reach their potential because they are not willing to pay the price of discipline, focus, and perseverance. Committing fully means making tough choices every day to prioritize your future over temporary pleasures. It is not an easy path, but it is the only one that leads to fulfillment and lasting success. When you act now, you take control of your destiny. Every day you delay is another day you give power to fear, doubt, and procrastination. Life is too short to live in hesitation because time will not slow down for you to feel ready. Acting now puts you in the driver's seat of your life, allowing you to direct your energy toward growth and achievement rather than regret. It is better to start small and imperfect than to never start at all, because progress is built one step at a time, and the sooner you begin, the sooner you will see results. Committing fully is about giving your all to your vision without holding back. It is choosing to show up every day, to put in the work, and to keep going even when you do not see immediate results. Success is not built in grand moments, but in the quiet, consistent actions you take when no one is watching. Acting now and committing fully sets you apart because most people are willing to start, but not willing to stay the course. The ones who achieve greatness are those who decide that quitting is not an option, that their dreams are worth every sacrifice, and that their future deserves everything they have to give.